Good morning. It is Friday, June 3rd at 8:30, and we are beginning our Economic Development and Environmental Conservation Committee. We will start off with the roll call.
So we have Dennis Brennan, Kevin Walsh, Clark Henry, Supervisor Puccioni, Elena Finnan, and Laura Robertson, Town Planner. Still waiting on a couple.
Okay, very good. And do we have any comments from the public this morning?
I'm still trying to check. I didn't receive any as of last night. My email hasn't loaded yet this morning.
Okay, very well. And then I believe that will bring us to resolutions and the Finance Committee.
Yes, so the only thing I have for a resolution that I could think of is that the planning board is looking at a possible final subdivision for Kelt's Farm, and during that process, he also dedicates the road to the town. I noticed that the town board meeting is at the very end of the month this month, so it may very well be that the road will be ready for acceptance by then. So I would put that on for tentative. It's got its base coat down. It's in. I think the only thing we're really waiting on for the as-built is the as-built and the the legal descriptions for everything.
Okay. So we can have that resolution for the end of the month?
For tentative, yeah.
Very good.
I have on here for discussions the EV charging stations. It may end up needing to go to Finance Committee or the town board, but I got the first bill for our charging stations, and it does have a delivery fee attached with it, which is actually much higher than the electricity. So I want to look at what our budget is. I just let the record note that our comptroller, Beth Greenwood, joined us, and I can go over that with them to see if we could squeak out what we have for the rest of the year, because it's only half a year, or if we need to add a little bit more to that to cover those delivery charges.
Okay. Is it, are delivery charges substantial
I mean, they're like $10, but
per charge?
per meter, and we have 3 meters, so that's like $30 a month. And I think we were planning on $15 a month.
Okay. All right.
So I have to go back and look. Like, we may be able to cover the rest of the year with it, or we may just want to make sure that we've got everything covered and look at our usage and stuff like that.
Very good. All right. And that brings us to the Comprehensive Plan Committee.
Yes, so the Comprehensive Plan Committee was appointed at the last town board meeting. Thank you to everyone who's working on that. I've got the list of names. Jamie has been helping coordinate contact with them. And so I don't see Dart, but I think Dart and David Diarpino are going to be co-chairs. So I just got to get with them, and then we'll set up a regular time for meeting on that and get that rolling. But the first big hurdle is done. Now on to the next.
Excellent. That is a big start. That's the biggest part too, is getting that committee together.
Yeah.
And we're off to the planning board.
Okay, I'll cover the planning board, and I've got all the same items that are on the agenda, but just in a different order here. So for recent approvals, last meeting, the planning board approved the Niskiana Square. That's updates to the sites, including sidewalks and traffic flow and ADA compliance. And Glen Eddy was also approved, and that's the main entrance and the dining room additions. Stuff that's active right now is Mohawk Commons, and it'll probably be a resolution at our next planning board meeting. And that's for the split of commercial space for 2 tenants, including the new Five Below tenant. Starbucks, we expect a resolution there, and that's for changes for the drive-through to help speed things along a little bit, new signage and menu boards, and they're also going to increase their outdoor seating over there. Chase Bank is a work in progress. We're waiting for them to come back for some information that we requested. That's for the drive-through at ShopRite, ATM at ShopRite Plaza. We're waiting on some renderings and some illumination data for the changes that they've made so we can move that forward. Rivers Ledge, the senior 66 unit senior apartments, that's a 55 plus apartment, is back in front of the planning board. Right now, that's going to require a height variance of about 6 feet. And we pushed back a little bit at the last meeting to see if they can modify the design a little bit to see if they can minimize a request for a variance there. broken in. As you all know, they've made application for temporary outdoor seating. We ended up taking some emergent actions along with many personnel from the town being involved to make it safe for the outdoor. Clark put out a picture this morning. I don't know if you want to pull it up now, Laura,
Yep.
of the changes that they've made. Assuming that they'll be back in business probably even later today with the ice cream window. Does anybody need to go out and look at that, Laura?
Did I what?
Does anybody need to go look at that from code enforcement to make sure it's in compliance with the drawing that was sent out and everything?
Yeah, I will send them out there to look at that.
Otherwise, it should be all set. And then a recent email, Laura just mentioned Kelt's Farm, if they get all their paperwork in, they'll be coming in for a final subdivision approval. It's balls in their court to get all the paperwork in. And a couple items that we're waiting on, GE Global Research, they got that new outbuilding. We're still waiting to hear back from them. Planning board's pretty much ready to move forward, but it seems like they're doing some design work that could possibly modify the building. So we're waiting to hear back from them. And that's pretty much it. Oh, Trinity Baptist Church, we're also waiting on them.
Oh, I got an email from them yesterday that, well, it wasn't actually from them. They submitted for their Army Corps of Engineers wetland permit, and the Army Corps of Engineers said they can't go with any further review because there is a potentially archaeological significant.
Oh,
So they hit another thing that they got to work through.
okay. That's it for planning board.
Here's the picture that you wanted, Kevin.
Mr. Walsh, the Chase Bank ATM, is that on Union Street?
No, it's right here at ShopRite Plaza, right in front of the dance area and I guess it would be the liquor store. That little section of the parking lot there, they want to take over and have an ATM.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
So this is a picture I took on the drive-in this morning. You can see the protective barriers around the window for the ice cream window and the pickup window. And he also has, those are benches, gray metal benches. So we wanted to make sure it's set up just for temporary seating, which is what the application was for. So it looks like it's all set up well and ready to go.
Oops,
Who supplied the barriers, Clark? Was that the county or
he bought them.
Oh, we did?
He bought them. There was a big truck that had just dropped them off. So I think they had just set them up this morning, it looked like.
Excellent.
They got to be filled with water yet.
Very good. So hopefully that will allow them to start their ice cream sales up today or this weekend.
Yes, but we emphasize that it's temporary and that the permanent solution will go through public hearing, planning board, town board, everybody will be able to have their say.
Excellent. Thank you.
So the zoning board has just 2 cases for June. That's kind of a relief. They've been having some pretty hefty duty meetings the last couple months. And then for the grants update, I just wanted to let you guys know, mostly Beth know, that I submitted for the Mohawk River watersheds reimbursement. That's the one on Aqueduct that's been done for a while, but it did get submitted. So that's the last step. Once we get that reimbursement check, I think we're completely closed. The only thing that's left down there is that Rivers Ledge is paving that path because the stone dust keeps washing out. And then I know Jamie worked pretty hard to make sure we didn't lose our Upper Union Street grant. So I'm working on preparing the bid documents for it. And also, I believe we've made it to the point of bid documents for the critical bike pedestrian grant. So I'm going to see if I can possibly combine the two. But if I can't, then we'd have 2 projects that go out to bid here very shortly on those 2 projects. Anybody have any questions on that? No?
Is there any complications in combining the two? Why wouldn't we be able to? Is it?
So I feel like as far as contractor wise go, it would be advantageous to the town because
Yeah.
it's less, mobilization. The only thing that's a little weird about it is it's 2 different engineers.
Okay.
But, as long as I can get them to work together, I don't foresee that to being a huge problem, but I have to check it with both of them. Contractor wise,
Yes.
it's completely fine.
Excellent. All right. Thank you. Complete Streets.
So the Complete Streets voted on their priority letters. I have the priorities that they spec'd out. I don't have them in full letter form, like with our letterheads, but I'll email those to you guys to take a look at it before I finalize them. And I think they want to try and get them out within the next month. And then I know I've talked to a couple of you guys. We had at the Complete Streets Committee, and I think maybe at least the supervisor level, a lady comes from Winnie Road who would really like to see a pedestrian connection between Winnie and like Merlin, I think, somewhere around there. And I just was working with Elena about it. There's a like utility easement, but not a pedestrian easement. So there's a little legal work that we have to do on that one. But I know that Complete Streets identified it as a priority. So we'll see what we can do with that. For Tree Council, the spring photo contest pictures are in. We didn't get quite as many as the fall, but I flipped through them yesterday and they're really beautiful. So we're excited to share those as soon as we can get together and choose the winners. The Tree Council and me, and probably some of you guys, have been getting questions about the sponge moths. That's the new term for the gypsy moth. We're not like super experts on sponge moths, but we are aware that, I mean, I have them in my yard. I get very frustrated with them eating my trees. There's a lot of residents in Niskayuna right now that are frustrated with them eating their trees. Just on my own, I've been doing a lot of research about like what you can do, and like the time of year right now, it's pretty limited. In April, you should put the bands around the trees that stick the caterpillars from going up. And then in early May, when the caterpillars are still tiny, you can give them a virus. But when they get bigger, apparently they get less. They're like adults, like they can handle, their immune systems can handle the virus better, so it doesn't hurt them as much. So I think at this point, it's like do the best to keep your tree healthy through the infestation. And then when the eggs are out in the fall, go around and collect all the eggs and drop them into a bucket of soapy water is the best thing, is the best plan for right now. They can handle complete defoliation as long as it's not too many years in a row and there aren't other factors that are happening. I get emails from the DEC, and the DEC is treating some areas in the Adirondack Park for the sponge moths, but it's very limited. And I think when they treat them, I mean, they're treating them with full-on pesticides, which
Well, they are, and I know they're doing a lot up in the Adirondack Park Agency up by the lake in the Lake George area. Been devastated last year, and they're back again this year. So they're spraying close to the water with some type of spray that's initialed BT, and then further away from the water, they're using something stronger because they really took out most of the leaves in the Adirondack Park last year. And apparently, if that happens 3 years in a row, the trees can't survive it. So they're trying to curb that this year because this would be the second year in a row.
Yeah.
They're not sure, though, if the spray is, how effective it's going to be, especially closer to the water where they can't use the degree of pesticides that they want to. So there might be some safe spray for residents to use close to their home. But it's kind of new, and I don't know a lot about it yet either.
Yeah, so the virus, it sounds like, is very safe, doesn't affect bees,
Mhm.
as far as my reading.
Yeah.
Just affects the gypsy moths because the virus is targeted, or the sponge moths is targeted to them. But unfortunately, I think we may have missed the window. So what I was thinking is next year, the Tree Council can put it on their calendar. We send email blasts out to people in April saying, put the tree bands on, because I think your time in Niskayuna, this is the second year in Niskayuna too. And I don't think we have it nearly as bad as Adirondacks, but you don't want to see it happen 3 years in a row. So, so April is the time to band your trees. May is the time to give the little guys the virus.
Now, the banding will work, but I don't think it might curb it a bit because most of them are in the tree, but then they fall down and they crawl back up.
Right.
And that's
so
where the bands kind of keep them out, I guess.
when they become moths, they lay their eggs much closer to the ground at the bottoms of the trees and along like structures, but they're all on the ground. So when the caterpillars hatch, the little tiny caterpillars do walk up the trunk of the tree to get to the leaves. So you're catching the babies.
Right.
Which is why I think if people are really concerned about it, and I know the Tree Council has talked about it, this fall, we can put together an email blast with pictures of what the egg sacs look like. They're pretty obvious. And send a thing saying, go around and find all these in your yard, as many as you can. And this is something that I learned too. Don't just drop them onto the ground. because they can still hatch, the little
Mhm.
stinkers. So you have to put them in a bath of soapy water.
Yeah, that, we should definitely do that.
Yeah. So
Get
I know
that
we've
out.
been hearing, we're not resident experts, but I think we can send out, you know, timely emails. We missed the spring, but we could send out a fall email and try and help people with their sponge moss questions. Getting a lot of them. And then the tree council has been working with the planning board on the ShopRite Plaza trees. We're sort of taking it one property owner at a time, but a lot of those trees died from the emerald ash borer. And so we're working with the property owners and the planning board to get those dead trees taken down and replanted.
Do we have a handle on the emerald ash borer? Has that been contained, or is it still?
So it's still going, but the interesting thing about those invasive species bug waves is they're the most intense at the front of the wave, and the front of the wave is passed through Niskayuna. It doesn't mean that there aren't still emerald ash borers eating what remains, but the front wave is where you like the true devastation, where you lose like most of the ash trees. They don't have a control plan for the emerald ash borer. I know they were working on trying to get a predatory bug that would go after the emerald ash borer, but it's tricky anytime you add any type of invasive insect to control. I mean, I just remember in high school, like reading about, they introduced the cane toads in Australia to eat something that was bothering the sugar cane. They didn't eat what was bothering the sugar cane and killed 90% of native whatever. So
Right.
it's super tough when you're released, but yeah, so I think the DEC is trying, but generally speaking, there's still emerald ash borer around. All of those things, like you shouldn't move your firewood, all of that stuff is still in effect. But the main wave went through Niskayuna, I think, about 2 years ago now.
Thank you.
And so I see that Dart's not here, so I'll go through Conservation Advisory Council. I don't know who was copied on it, but Roy Thornton sent a very happy email that the Bobo Links are back in Blatnick Park. Did you get that one? Yeah.
Oh, very good.
So
Very good.
he feels like the LOMO in that area is working right now, which is great. I know that the CAC is very thankful for the support the town board had on that, and the highway department. And the LOMO on the River Hill side of Blatnick Park has started. So they've made a little trail through the LOMO area. I think they're putting up the sign shortly. So both those things are in effect right now. So you can go take a look at them. And birds like it, according to Roy, who knows these things. The natural resources inventory did the mini walkthrough May 15th. I've seen a couple documents of the summary of some of that they went through and ecosystems that they found. So when he gets that a little bit more put together, I'll send it to the town board. I think we want to put it together in a mini NRI. That was the grant from the Niskayuna Community Foundation. And we can at least adopt that, which will leverage further funding to do it for the whole entire town. But according to Ashok, it went really well. I'm sorry that I missed it. But we'll have more on that soon. And then the pesticide-free outreach, I don't really have too many updates except that we're still selling signs. People still seem to like the program, and it's still in effect. So anybody who wants to do that, come get a sign from us.
I know we had a lot of action at that table for Arbor Day. We got several
Yeah,
new signups
we
for
did.
pesticide free. Yeah, very good.
So Climate Smart, just a quick update. There's a couple things I need to do for that grant that I've been communicating with the DEC on, that I started working on. I know we've talked about this before, but we need to organize the compost bin day. So that $5,000 grant was awarded, and we can essentially just do an Arbor Day, but for compost. Where we can give away the compost bins. Then I think that we're basically ready to launch the Solarize Niskayuna campaign. I put the flyers in your packet. We've talked about this at a bunch of the meetings. It's a thing where if you The only way you're not eligible is if you have solar panels on your house already. But if you don't have solar panels and you have, a National Grid account, you can essentially like lease a spot on a solar panel, on a community solar panel, the sort of like the big fields that you see around. And you can receive up to 10% off your energy bills. The incentive that Solarize Albany and Solarize Niskayuna was able to work on was that you get a $200 Amazon gift card for signing up, and you're supporting green energy and the environment. So I have this flyer that the only thing I want to change is I want to put the Niskayuna seal in the sun, if I can do that. I don't know if I can, but I want to. And then there's all you really have to do is click on these links, and it takes you to these 2 different programs, and then you put in your National Grid meter information, and it should have, even though it's Solarize Albany or Solarize Niskayuna is our campaign, everything that you do when you sign up for Nelnet says Solarize Albany. It's okay. It's the same thing. And then this is their flyer, which kind of emphasizes the Amazon gift card. But we have all this information. I believe it's ready to go. I'm enrolling myself because I did not want to cut down trees to put solar panels on my house. I'm a crazy tree lady. You guys already know that about me. So I will try and enroll myself so that I can answer questions. And then we can do a meeting at town hall for anybody. And like one of the people from these companies can come and talk to them too.
Great idea. Let's do it.
Yeah, do you want to go, Clark?
Oh, sure. I'll just quickly on the Architectural Review Board, not a lot has changed since May. We did have our May meeting on May 18th. There's 6 active projects, and just to highlight 3 of them, the garage addition at 2275 Grand Boulevard. The ARB is staying close to that project, and they will be working with the applicant to make sure that that garage fits the neighborhood and the existing structures. 2538 River Road, Kelts Farm. The ARB has had some great input on that project regarding the townhomes and the single-family homes, and they're providing some of the experience they've seen in other communities to make sure that those buildings all mesh with each other and that provisions are in place so that down the road, when someone has to work on the townhomes or something, that they'll stay in architectural style and colors and things like that with the initial version. So they'll be working with the planning board going forward as we get ready to give that subdivision final approval.
So the Celts builder's been receptive to
Yeah,
the board?
yeah. Mhm.
Excellent.
And then Rivers Ledge, can you, if we showed this at the last meeting or not, but Rivers Ledge Senior Center building they did a pretty extensive redesign. So we talked at the last planning board meeting about them working with the ARB, and they have a concept now of more of like a row house or almost like a brownstone type concept, because the senior center building is quite long. So they wanted to break up that length by making it look a little bit more like a row house. So there's a good image here. The ARB has some comments. It's a little bit busy, but as Kevin mentioned, it's a little bit tall in its current. Had a good conversation about this both at the ARB and at the planning board. So
That building's a senior center.
yeah, 66 units, and it is quite long. I didn't get the exact dimension of the length, but it'll be a nice architectural project to break that up and make it look interesting.
Sure.
It's also got the 2,000 square feet of commercial space in this building, another outbuilding with other 3,000 square feet of commercial space, part of the mixed use.
Wow.
Okay, that's it, Laura.
So building department has been enforcing a lot of high grass complaints. We talked a little bit about no mow May last month, and I think some people may have been listening, but we didn't change our zoning ordinance, so the grass is really not allowed to be more than 10 inches. So we've gotten quite a few quite a few lawns taken care of. There are some that you truly don't have somebody to take care of them, so the town ends up mowing them. Those take quite a bit longer, but we've got a list of them. So hopefully they will be taken care of in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then even though it dried out a little bit, we're still getting a lot of stormwater complaints. It seems to be a fairly regular phone call every other day in our office. And then we probably need to do at least initial enforcement on the Brookdale Senior Living pods. They've come to the planning board a couple of times, but they seem to have fallen off the map and they have not removed their pod. So the building inspectors will probably have to go out there and inspire them to move their pod or go back to the planning board. Did anybody have any questions about any of that? No. I think the console sidewalk, I can't remember what next step is on that. I'll have to go back and find it. I'm sorry, John.
Yeah, I think last meeting we were looking to see if you get some help from engineering or send it out to a TDE to take care of it, take it off your plate and just move it on to somebody to help out.
Okay. And then one of the things that, which Kevin might have mentioned, that Kelts Farm potentially has an issue with their multi-use path. Like, it's probably going to get sent to the planning board to deal with, but if the planning board doesn't want to accept it, then it'll become enforcement from the planning department. And then the 2520 Vincenzo Drive, that's Lou Lisi's properties, family properties that are, between like Angelina and what's the other one? Row. Anyway, they are getting close to CO. So hopefully that project will start, getting grass and greener and planting trees and
Is that
looking a little better.
the Lou Lisi development?
Yeah,
How many, there's other 3 homes?
there's 4.
There are 4.
Yeah.
And
Well, there was 1 to start with, and then he added 3.
and they're all ready for, they're all 4 ready
Getting
for?
close.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
So that property should start to get greener.
Mhm.
Sometimes we get complaints about Rivers Ledge, and I think that the Rivers Ledge guy said, this is the ugliest that it's going to be. Like, all of the ground is disturbed. The buildings are stark. Like, hopefully that'll start to make things over there feel a little bit better. And so that's getting close to being done. Alina, do you want to talk about some?
This is on. Yeah, so we have 3 court cases currently pending in our town court for building department matters, one of which got scheduled for trial last night.
Yeah. So she's been working pretty hard on a bunch of enforcement stuff for us.
And then we do have the one case that's pending in Supreme Court, or actually 2 cases that are pending in Supreme Court as well.
And Dennis, did you want to talk about?
Sure. First of all, the logo working group, which was established last month, excuse me, we're having our first meeting on next Tuesday. So hopefully that'll begin to move forward. Although I don't think it's going to be a fast resolution to that, but it begin the process at any rate. Land acknowledgement statement. I know I've been promising this for some while, but I finally put one together. I want to pass that around as copies if anybody is interested in. This is just, my draft. Certainly it's subject to change depending upon, what the supervisor or John think about it. You don't have to act on it right now, but I just finally put something together so we can hopefully move forward and get this on passed at the next town board meeting. And then the Preservation Committee, I think creation of historic board, you're talking about the Preservation Commission, right? Laura? All right. Laura and I talked about that a few days ago, and we'd like to try to send out a press notice. We've been hearing about an email blast for committee members for a long time, but I really think it would be good if we had a press release, at least on this job, this committee, this commission, to try to get some people who would be interested in being involved. We had some success when we set up the historical committee. We had quite a few applicants, so maybe doing a little bit more than just an email blast might be helpful. Because we really need to get this off the ground. I think we'll start with trying to establish an inventory of homes, that could potentially go on a historic register, beginning with the 1985 inventory, which I think was about 77 homes on it. And then as this commission begins to work, we might identify more homes and then begin the process of reaching out to people to see if they're interested in having the house designated as a historic, on the historic register, because it would require the owner's cooperation. It doesn't come with any restrictions or anything like that, but we certainly need the owner's cooperation in order to take a good look at the house, both the outside and the inside, to warrant the designation as historic on the historic register. So at any rate, I've got my table full right now.
Yeah, Dennis and I had a good meeting about the things that the two of us have to do separated so that we can get some of those things done. So Dennis, I was just reading this. I feel like it covers a lot of what we were talking about. So just appreciation of the history of the land. And essentially it would be that at the beginning of every town board meeting, we would read the statement potentially that you proposed, and then other boards could read it if they so chose.
That's the way I worded it. If somebody wants to
No, I like that. I
change
think
that,
that's good.
that's fine. I just, went out on a limb and said, all right, I've been talking to people, making a decision about how to do this. So I just went with my own gut. But anyway, any of this can be changed.
Yeah, no, I like it. I think it's what we talked about. I wanted to note, I know you watched the Relief conference that I sent you where
Yeah.
the guy was from a native tribe and he used a lot of the native words, and I see that you use the native way of naming the traditional tribes. So I think that that's really cool too.
Kanienki Haka.
And
one I got down.
Kiaka and the Muhe Cognac. I really like it.
Yeah, I don't see anything in here that I would change.
I like it.
Well,
Okay,
yeah.
so let's put it on for tentative, and then Elena can look at it. And if you guys have any other changes, so then 2 resolutions potentially.
My other question, Laura, was going up to the $5,000 grant awarded. Did we do a resolution to accept that yet?
For the compost bin.
Yes. I know we did a reso to apply for it, but
We might have. Let me double check. So let's put that as a tentative.
okay.
We might.
I think we did a reso to apply for it, but I don't remember. if
To
we did
accept
one
it?
through. I can't
All
remember.
right, yeah. So let's double check. So the land acknowledgement statement can be B, and then a C with a question mark would be accepting the compost bin day grant, right? Potentially. I'll look into that one for you. Good catch, Elena. Did anybody have anything else they want to add? That's a short one today for us.
Okay, so if there is nothing more for the good of the order, I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And we are adjourned. Happy weekend.